Today, in Any Given Garage, we're going to talk about how to hook your trailer to your truck.
Hey, real quick, I want to give a real big thank you to my first subscriber on the channel. You really relit that fire and motivated me to keep going. So thank you. Now let's go.
So one of the first things we need to figure out in order to start hooking up our trailer is what size ball we need based on the hitch for the trailer. So most hitches should have it stamped somewhere on here. This one in particular has it stamped right there, almost that top line. Okay, there, 1 7/8" ball. So that's the size ball we're going to need for our little utility trailer. Now on something like the camper, you can see this hitch style is a little bit different. The locking mechanism is a little different. If you can tell, the actual hitch here is a little larger. And if we get down close here, we can see right there, it says it needs a 2 5/16 size ball. So that's a fairly significant difference. All right, so the reason that the ball size compared to the hitch size is important, I'm going to show you right here. So if you can see, I've got an 1 7/8" ball on my truck receiver, and this is that 2 5/16" trailer hitch. So the 1 7/8" ball can go inside, and we can lock it, and everything looks good. And if this was in the truck, we'd be supporting the weight and be fine. Until we hit a bump on the road, and this ball can just fall right out. Now, a trailer like this probably won't pole vault and land on top of your truck, but I personally don't want to find out. So we're going to make sure we use the right size ball. All right, now I've got the same setup, but I've got that 2 5/16" ball. This requires a 2 5/16. The ball slides in just fine, locks, be supporting the weight, but now it's attached and the trailer hitch won't come off of the truck receiver hitch. All right, the next thing we need to look at are the receiver hitches on the actual tow vehicle. Obviously here I've got my pickup truck, and it's got what you would call your standard 2-inch receiver for your ball mount. There's a few different sizes. There's a much smaller one that's 1.25", and that's what you're going to find under or behind like a passenger car or a light small SUV for towing much smaller little trailers, and you're going to be really limited by your vehicle's towing capacity. Stepping up from that, you're going to find this 2-inch receiver here, and that's going to be for more your normal utility trailers, your campers, most horse trailers, things like that, what you would kind of find a larger pickup truck towing around. Stepping up from that, even if I remove this fancy adapter thing, you have the 2.5-inch receiver size, and that's for even bigger, heavier loads. Usually you're going to find this on more commercial trucks, things like that, but usually like your 1-ton pickup trucks, you can get them on here as well, so that you have that ability to upgrade in the future. So now that we've seen what truck receiver size we have, now we're going to look at the different ball mounts there are. You can see there's 3 sort of standard-ish types of ball mounts. Now there are tons and tons out there. They can vary from super basic to super fancy, complicated, fancy colors, all kinds of stuff. But here's 3 examples of what you're generally going to find out there. On the left here, we've got just a standard drop ball mount. This one I think is about 4 or 5 inches. They'll usually say somewhere on here, and they'll tell you when you go buy it. Oh, see, this one here tells us that it's a 5.25-inch drop, or if you flip it over, it's a 4-inch rise. So that's what you would see a lot of times, like on that 1.25-inch size receiver. For small cars, is they'll actually have the ball mounted this way so that they can raise up where the ball is to the level of the trailer from the car if it's mounted down low like this. But you're really going to have to determine what size drop you need based on your truck and trailer combo. But this is just your standard drop. You can get them from flat. This is, like I said, about a 5-inch. I've seen them 10-inch. Really kind of depends on what you need. The next one here, this one's an adjustable drop. So it's set up now at probably about that same, almost 4 or 5 inches. But you can see if I pull these pins out, I can lower it down even more based on what trailer I have. The next one over here on the end, this guy is actually the mount for the camper, and this is designed for load leveling bars. So you can see it's different than both of the other two in that these mounts are hollow. This guy here is solid, so that's going to be rated for a lot heavier weight, a lot heavier duty. It is also adjustable for your truck and trailer combo, but this is generally kind of set for what we've got. But you've got your standard ball, and then you've actually got this little tiny guy over here. This is for an anti-sway bar, and there's another one of these on the side of the trailer that helps keep the trailer from fishtailing and swaying as you go down the road. But part of the reason for the beef is these two holes down here. That's where these load leveling bars hook in, and then they have chains that hook to the trailer and help level the load, especially if maybe what you're towing is close to the weight capacity rating of your vehicle. So that helps deal with that. But these are generally kind of what you're going to see. For most applications, you're probably going to be using just a standard drop here, or maybe an adjustable. But again, as you get into the campers and things like that, you'll get into the bigger ones there. So the next thing we're going to look at are the receiver pins. We've got a couple of different pins here. You've got your larger ones. These are what are going to hold the ball mount into the truck receiver. And then these guys, these little ones, are what you're going to use to actually lock the trailer receiver to the ball mount. We'll show you that here in a little bit. But you're at a minimum going to need one of these type of pins to hold the ball mount into the truck receiver. So you have just your standard pin here with your spring pin, and this is going to go through the hole in the truck receiver, through the ball mount, come out the other side, and then the spring pin goes on and just holds it so that the ball mount can't come out of the receiver. Then if you're worried about people stealing your hitch, or you want to just be a little more secure, they have locking types. There's various different ones that lock with whatever type of key. Same thing, this goes through, lock goes on, twist the key, locks it, and it locks it in place. The only downside is if you lose the key, now you have to try to cut this thing off, and take it from me, that's a pain. Don't lose the key. These guys are kind of the same. This is just a different locking style. This will go through the locking mechanism on your hitch, lock together, and then it can't come apart, so somebody can't lift the trailer off the ball. This one is what I use on the little utility trailer. It just goes through, locks together, and then it's going to be good to go for rolling down the road. So our next step is going to be actually mounting our ball mount into the truck receiver, and it's literally just as simple as sliding it in until our holes line up all the way through, and then sliding that pin in. That's a little more complicated for me because I have this adapter here. So I've actually got a little bit of extra work to do to get it all lined up. Then that just goes all the way through. Take my little locking pin here. Best cover. We are on and ready to tow. All right, so the next thing we need to do is back up our truck so that the ball mount lines up underneath our trailer hitch. There's a few different ways you can do this. If you've got multiple people, that's helpful. If you've got a truck with the fancy little backup camera here, that's helpful. Another way to do it is just to by trial and error. You get out, you look, see how close you are, and then make adjustments. Or if you have a lightweight trailer, something like this, that you can just pick up the trailer and move it around, you can just take the trailer to the truck. We'll show you backing the truck up to the trailer. So if you have two people, I would typically have one person here, kind of next to the trailer hitch, but out of the way so they don't get run over, right? Giving hand signals, right? You got to go that way, you got to go this way, trying to guide the person with the truck back to the ball hitch or to the trailer hitch. As they get closer, I like to give them their distance, right? And close that distance as they get lined up, right? Otherwise, you might ram the truck into the trailer, or you tell them to stop and they're still a foot and a half away, and that doesn't really help. All right, so as soon as I get them lined up, right, I might tell them they need to go back forward, come back, whatever they need to do, adjust. Tell them they're getting closer, 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 closer. They're together, and then I can lower the trailer down onto that ball. Now, if you're by yourself, again, you can just kind of back up to where you think you're close, stop, and check, see how much further I need to go. Back in the truck. Stop. Check again. And you should be able to get yourself close enough to where you need to be. Now, something that's super helpful if you have it is a backup camera. And you can see here that it has the ball and the trailer in view. And mine here, if I hit this little plus, it actually will zoom in further and I can see just how close I am. One thing I really like about the backup camera in my truck is it has that dotted line right in the middle, and that dotted line changes as I turn the steering wheel to show me where that ball is going to go. So now if we start backing up towards the trailer, I can line that dotted line up right with the end of the trailer hitch. It looks like I'm pretty close. Let's zoom in here. Now it looks like I'm right underneath. Let's go check. Now that is a pretty good fit, I'd say, right over the top. That should be close enough now that when we lower the trailer down, it'll slide right onto the ball. And I've got no more weight on my wheel here, so now all the weight of the trailer is on the ball. All right, so again, all that weight is off of my stand here and it's on the truck. So with a rotating type like this, I can just rotate that wheel up and out of the way. We're ready to go. If you have one that's like on the camper, you just have to pull that foot all the way up so it's out of the way and doesn't drag on the ground. Next, now all the weight's back on the trailer. I'm sorry, back on the truck. We're going to lock our trailer receiver. That's as simple as just folding this guy over. Sometimes, especially when they're worn, it takes a little effort. Now we're locked, and that trailer can't come off of the truck ball. Next, I'm going to take my trailer pin, feed it through the hole here in my latch, lock it over. If you have the locking style, that's where you want to lock it. And now we are attached to the truck securely. The next thing we need to work on are our safety chains here. All right, so you should have two safety chains. They might mount differently depending on your trailer and your trailer style. Mine actually have two different mounting points underneath here. So the way I like to hook these up is I like to cross them underneath the hitch and the ball here. The thought being that if something catastrophic happens here at the hitch and the ball and the trailer comes off the truck, hopefully it catches on that X in the chains. So I'm going to take my passenger side or right side chain, sling it around underneath and hook it onto the driver's side of the truck. You should have some little loops here on the truck receiver. And then same thing with the left side chain onto the right side of the truck and hook that up. And now we have this X here. So hopefully if this comes off and it catches, it lands and kind of cradles in that X. And you can tell that the trailer's come off before it digs into the ground and pole vaults into the back of the truck. Next, we've got our trailer lights. This is just your basic 4-pin light setup. On my truck here, I've got 2 spots that I can hook in lights. I've got this one here is a big round, I think it's a 7 or 8-pin connector. That's like for the camper. Then on this side here, I've got just the basic little 4-pin. Line those all up together. Bam. Now I'm just going to check my lights, make sure they all work. Turn signals, brake lights, running lights, and we're off to the races.